Peace to everybody that's listening to this. I'm Darren Waller. If you don't know who I am, if those that do know me, I'm a pretty authentic dude, or at least try to be. Through if you've watched comeback stories or just seen anything of my story, I like to. I've kind of grown into being out in the forefront and just sharing authentically, and I feel like I owe you guys that in a way. I've had quite an eventful year, and I'm not one to make sure that or ensure that my public perception is a certain thing. I'll address things when they need to be addressed, and I'll take my time in doing so. But just grateful for all y'all that are listening. It's funny. I talked about it a lot, and it's something that I've really dove in deeper on, especially from the beginning of this year till now. It's I feel like I'm somebody who, for a lot of my life has looked tremendous from the things that I have going on, or you're outside looking at me and saying, "Man, like everything looks great," but internally, there's been a lot of stops where it's like, why doesn't it feel as good as it looks? And I find it very ironic that now I'm in a situation where, from the outside looking in at me, people are probably like, this dude's losing his mind a little bit. But really on the inside, I feel like feeling like things are really coming together in my world. It's been, just in this last 4 months, quite a journey for me. It makes me look back on getting sober from drugs and alcohol as like really just like the tip of the iceberg, when really it's like that's a big deal and should not be discounted. But really learning that the drugs and alcohol are really just a symptom of deeper issues, deeper rooted things that what I've learned in these last 4 months has me like, aha, like that's the reason that I am the way that I am. And it's brought me to the point of, rethinking my career and leaving my marriage. These are things that I've had to, evaluate and see, like, are these 100% yeses for me? I got to kind of tell a story to give context that I think nobody in the public probably knows. Last season in New Jersey, we played the Jets on October 29th. I don't have anybody to fact check me, but somewhere around there. I got hurt that game. And then the following week, the Giants were playing the Raiders in Vegas. And I stayed back for rehab reasons. And I think it was November 6th. I shot a music video for my song called Faith Test. If it's out, if you have seen it, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. But I shot that video in South Jersey, which is about an hour from where I lived. And go shoot the video. On my way back to where I live, I started to feel like this fever coming on. And I'm like, I've had COVID twice. It kind of whooped me both times. And so I'm like, all right, this is going to be round 3. Kind of got to thug it out. And, the fever starts to build, start to get the chills and stuff like that. But then, like, by the time I pulled into my parking garage at my condo and get out the car, like, I'm like shaking, like, pretty violently, like uncontrollably, to where I was like, this is a little weird, a little different. This one's just going to be a little bit more difficult than before, I guess. And I get to my room and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to lay in the bed and sweat the bed out. I wake up fine in the morning, but then like I couldn't breathe and found myself like my head starting to nod and like losing consciousness. And I'm there by myself. And I was just staying awake by, I was watching, I think it was Lil Yachty's podcast with, he had J. Cole on there. Very good episode, by the way, which was kind of keeping me up because I was very interested in that. Plus I wanted something to just take my attention off of how I was feeling, but I kept nodding and I just, like I said, couldn't breathe. So I ended up calling 911, and I think I'm talking clearly on the phone, but they can't make me out or make out much of what I'm saying. So I realized I kind of had to like go with the nodding and like breathe deep. And then they finally like got my address, and I get up and put a shoe like in the front door to prop the door open. So like when they arrive, they can just kick the door open and come check on me. And I just go sit on the, I kind of stumble to the couch, cut all the lights on, and I'm there just kind of like breathing deeply, trying to hold on to my breath. And in between each breath, I'm yelling out like help. So like the neighbors I could maybe wake the neighbors up, and maybe they'd be like, what is that? And they'd come through or whatever. But that fight kind of ensued. I don't know how long the time was. It felt like forever. And I'm like, damn, like I'm just dying on this couch and nobody knows. It was a very, like, humbly, very scary event, you know. And I remember what felt like, which was it was kind of similar to my overdose, just like the power like plug just being pulled out, and I just couldn't breathe anymore. But then it was like immediately somebody was there. There was like a paramedic and a police officer. That paramedic put an oxygen mask on my face, and a police officer was there. And then I was able to I was still very much out of it, but could kind of have a conversation with him. And, the police officer calls my mom, which my poor mother has had enough trauma with me with police and legal stuff. And the police officer calls her, and she's like, oh, Lord, not again. But just call my mom, trying to talk to her and, trying to reach my wife at the time. But it was a very scary situation. I ended up going to the hospital, was in there for 3.5 days and couldn't stand up and go take a piss or use a bathroom or feed myself. It was an experience that would kind of sober somebody up and just make them think, at least. And I say all that because I come out of that experience and I'm sitting in the hospital and I go back into my daily life and I'm like, pretty clear I almost just lost my life. And I don't know if I really feel like if I would have died that I would have felt great about how my life was going if I died at the time. I'm doing something that I found a lot of joy in and have had amazing moments with. But the passion has slowly been fading. I'm with a person that is a great person, but I just feel so many things inside of me being driven by like codependency. And if I make somebody else happy, then I'm okay. Like all these things, but they all paint this picture of like, if I were to be in that position again, like, would I, like that position of dying, like being on the edge of death, like, would I be okay with how my life was going? And it's kind of forced me into a position to reevaluate, and I've, made the decision that I'll be retiring from the NFL. There's plenty of reasons that go into that, and it's funny talking through this whole situation and looking at my contract, and I think I owe back like a little bit under $1 million in bonus money. And, there's a lot of people that have had conversations with me coming up to me and asking if I've made my decision yet. And, the common thought process is, how could you leave money like that on the table, which is excess of 30 million over the next 3 years. And, it's that's a whole lot of money. $750,000 is a lot of money. And I understand and respect that. But, I feel like I've spent most of my life doing what I should be doing and measuring that in the eyes of what people would expect from me. I've been a people pleaser my whole life, somebody that has struggled with worth, confidence, feeling valuable. And, you find value in, people accepting you because of, the way you play a game, the way you go out there and do what you do and entertain. And that comes with great moments, great connections with, fans and people that have, been inspired in a lot of different ways by me, which is all cool. But, at the same time, it's like, I feel like I always end up at the stop of my life looking way better than it feels if I continue to base my life off of that and my decisions off of that. And, it's an opportunity for me to, kind of take back the power in my life, start to make choices for myself, take control. And, whether my passions or the things that I want to be interested in going forward don't bring me another dime, it's like, at least if I'm going to be in a situation where, because I don't know how much time I got left on this earth, like I'll be able to be in that bed and be like, I'm cool. Like I've lived a lot of life, I've already lived a lot of life in 31 years. I should have died at least 4 times, at least. But I'm still here. So it's like, at this point it's about, becoming who I really am, which I feel like my life has kind of been on loop since I was 4 years old of doing, the same things. But I definitely don't want to make this a whole like screw football thing because, when I was a kid, you ask my mom, didn't matter what season or what sport was in or what activity I was doing, I was sleeping with a football. I still don't know how I know so many former players' names that nobody else could know. And all that information is so deeply rooted in my brain. Like I loved the game of football, but it became a people-pleasing tool a lot of the time, which kind of exhausted, joy and passion. But at the same time, there's natural, shifts in me that take place. And, I'm not sure if too many of y'all are familiar with human design, but it's something that I got introduced to recently. And I guess you could kind of say it's like somewhat similar to astrology. Like, how people will ask you for your name and the time you were born, where you were born, and you put that stuff in, and it kind of gives you different information back. And it told me that I'm a manifesting generator, which I was like, okay, I have no idea what that means. But reading through it, it's like I'm somebody that will always have multiple passions, multiple ways of expressing myself. And it's very common for me to outgrow certain passions. And the worst possible thing for a manifesting generator, somebody like me, would be to think that I am supposed to choose one lane of life, one path, and stick with it like most of the world does. And I feel like that's where a lot of my confinement, that's where a lot of my, just isolation and, depression can kind of come in because I don't feel like you can put me in one box. And when I'm somebody that's not authentically or honestly expressed, at the end of the day, I still am an addict. I am, an alcoholic, and those things will come out in different behaviors. I've maintained my sobriety through all this, but there's been multiple different ways and behaviors that my acting out has displayed. And it's because of this, lack of passion and lack of fulfillment on the inside that I feel like I need to numb myself to distract from. But yeah, I'm eternally grateful for the game of football. I wouldn't be able to have this conversation or to think things through or be self-reflective if it wasn't for an opportunity to save my life and go to rehab, which the NFL offered me. They also gave me an opportunity to, reestablish myself, to, come back into the world and do something productive, provide an example, be a leader, be a difference maker, in my craft, but also just in the day-to-day wherever I go. So, man, I'm eternally grateful. There's so many people I could thank as well. I don't want to exclude people, but I feel like the people that I should name and should acknowledge, number one being my boy Quay Mack, my brother, man, somebody that in 2017, when I got suspended from the league for at least a year, I went to rehab, came back, started working at Sprouts, and my boy Quay was hitting me up like, hey, yo, when are we going to get back to training? When are we going to start? And I'm like, bro, I'm not trying to do any of this. And I ended up going out there and doing a couple field workouts, but I was not in any type of shape. Like 20 minutes into the workout, I'm like, bro, I can't do this. Like, I'm trying to go. But this is a man that has stayed on me and has worked with me, been by my side. We've known each other since 5 years old, playing football against each other, playing football together. 2015, coming out of the draft, I couldn't run one route at the time. I could probably tell you I could run a go route and a slant route, but you learn there's so many details to both of those that you don't just run a straight line or like an angle. Like there's details that go into it. And from somebody that coming into the league had no expertise in one route to being somebody that was, a number one target and one of the most versatile route runners as far as lining up in different positions in the league. That's all the work that man and I have put in over the course of the last almost decade. So big shout out to you, my boy. Man, thank you to, all the teams I played for, Baltimore, taking a chance on me with all the red flags that I even had coming out of college with and sticking with me for the length of time that they did when I was getting suspended and just struggling, man, trying to do everything they could to help me. Extremely grateful. Can't say enough about the Raiders, Oakland, and Las Vegas. Reggie McKenzie, GM at the time in 2018, Coach Gruden, just taking a chance off of seeing me running around in a pregame workout and that opportunity being enough for me to change my life. My boy Frank Smith was my tight end coach for 3 years. So those are the best years of my life playing football with the guys that were in that room. Foster, Derek Carrier, man, amazing memories. Thank you to the Giants. Grateful for all the guys there, all the coaches there, welcoming me and making me feel like family and giving me an opportunity, and also giving me an opportunity to reflect in this time and to make a decision. So, so many people to thank. I don't know what else to say. I don't want to make this too long-winded, but I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity to have connected with all of you and in whatever way that I have. I'm not disappearing off the face of the earth. I'm shifting, I'm turning. I'm going to be, going wherever God has taken me next. But, this journey will always be something that I hold dear and has helped me to grow and continue to grow as a man and in my character. And if you see me, holler at me, talk to me. I love y'all, appreciate you. And that's all I got. Peace.